it is me, Stace. Today I'm going to share with you my design team project for Maymay Made It, and today we're making this really cute Scarecrow card. There's the front, and then we have the inside. Alright, so to get started, you will need a piece of cardstock for the base of the card. I chose brown. This is 8.5 by 5.5. I scored it at 4.25 to make the card base. The pink layer on top of that one is 4 by 5.25. Then we have a white layer on top of that. This one is 3 3/4 by 5. The piece for the inside, this is 4 by 5.25, and you will also need a scrap piece of white. So the first thing we're going to do is work with the smaller white piece. This one is 3 3/4 by 5. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. We're using 2 stamp sets from Maymay. The first one is a bushel and a peck. We'll be using the Scarecrow, both hay barrels, the 3 pumpkins, the greeting, and the crow. Next one I'm using is from Relic. I'm using this piece here to create this grassy straw right there. And they're already on my block. I'm going to grab my inks. I'm using a brown ink, orange, and pink. Our challenge this month with the design team was to use the 3 colors, brown, pink, and orange. So I'm going to open all those so they are ready for us. Alright, so first things first, we're going to grab the image from the Relic stamp. And again, I'm using this to create kind of grass. I'm going to grab my brown ink, dip it in that. I'm going to stamp it off twice so it's not really dark, and stamp it just on the bottom of this white piece. So I'm stamping off 2 times so it's not that dark. Okay, so now we have what looks like straw, like dried grass almost. Alright, next we're going to grab that piece of scrap paper we have. We're going to grab both of the hay barrels, and again in that brown ink. Stamp one there, and we're going to stamp the smaller one. And while we're here, we're going to stamp some pumpkins. So I have the smallest of the 3 pumpkins. We're going to stamp that in orange ink. And I have the rounder of the 3 pumpkins, and stamp that as well. Okay, we're going to set those aside. Now to color these, what I'm using are these watercolor pencils. Let me go ahead and grab them. These are the Nouveau brand, and I have the collection called Brilliantly Vibrant, and I have the orange, pink, and brown already out. So I'm going to take the brown and just color over the hay barrels. Does not need to be perfect. Okay, I'm going to do the same with the pumpkins. Just go over these guys. And I'm actually going to be using an aqua painter with these. The one I have is from Stampin' Up, but Maymay does have one in her shop. I think it's called Aquaflow. It has a little bit of water in it. I'm going to take the water, just squeeze it, just to get the tip of the brush wet, and then just go over these images here. I'm not using watercolor paper. You can if you want to. This is just regular white cardstock, and then I'm just going to take in the brush to clean it, and then go over the pumpkins. Okay, we're going to clean that off again, and then set that aside to dry, and we're going to come back to that. Alright, so let's move that out of the way. Now we're back to our card front. I'm going to take the Scarecrow, and I'm using the VersaFine black ink to ink him up. I'm going to stamp him on toward the left on a little bit of an angle. Straight down, straight up. Now I'm going to take the greeting, and I'm going to stamp that in a pink ink. And this says a bushel and a peck and a hug around the neck. Stamp this in the upper right corner on an angle. Okay. Now I'm going to take the orange and stamp our pumpkin. So again, there was 3 pumpkins. Now I have the tallest of the 3. I'm going to stamp this next to the Scarecrow on this side, and then a little bit on this side. And I'll take the other rounded pumpkin and stamp that one on this side. Okay, so that's basically the front of the card. Now I want to color the Scarecrow in and the pumpkin. So I'm going to bring back my scrap piece of paper and those 3 colored pencils. And the orange one is called Tangerine Tango, the brown is called Cocoa Bean, and the pink is called, I can't read it, Cotton Candy. Alright, so since we have a lot of orange going on, you can see here I'm going to color his overalls in a pink color. And I have a little smudge there. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can take this mono eraser and just kind of erase that little smudge there. It doesn't erase the ink. What this does is like a little sander, and it sands down the cardstock a little bit. So you don't want to go overboard on it. Okay, I think that's fine. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take the pink colored pencil, and I'm using fairly firm pressure, only because it's such a light color pink. But I like the watercolor effect of this because, you know, I thought of the Scarecrow sitting in the sun and kind of his clothes become faded. And I think the watercolor kind of gives it that look. Alright, so you can see he's not colored in perfect. I'm going to do the flower on the hat just to pull in more of the pink. Alright, again take that aqua painter or the aqua flow and just go over the overalls. And if you find it's not really blending, just go ahead and squeeze the aqua painter and you'll see more water come out. And again, this is not watercolor paper, it's just regular white cardstock. It would blend a lot nicer if it was on the watercolor paper, but again, I'm not going for that perfect look, I'm kind of going for the faded. Okay, so that's what that looks like now. Now we're going to take the orange. The orange I'm going to apply really light pressure because the orange is a darker color. Just for the arms here. And for his neck, we're going to do his nose and the rest of the hat. Scarecrows are adorable. Okay, so we have the arms done. I'm going to do the top of the hat and the bottom. And while I'm here, I'm going to go over the pink, even though it's still a little wet. Just go over the pockets or the patches with, again, a little bit more of that orange. Take the aqua painter. Just kind of smooths out the lines a little bit. Do the hat and the pockets a little bit, just to kind of blend it a little bit more. Okay, so there's the orange. And again, you can see it's not perfect, but I'm not going for that. I'm going to do the brown for the hat and his arms. All I'm doing really is just adding some color. Now for the stick he's on, I'm going to make that be a little bit darker so I have different shades of the brown. Okay. So the Scarecrow at that point is done. I'm going to do the same thing with the pumpkins. Just going to color them in. And I really like how the watercolor looks on the pumpkins, because it makes the pumpkin look almost real. You know, pumpkins aren't perfectly orange. And if I were to color this in really nicely, it would look like a perfect pumpkin. And I didn't want it to have that look. I wanted it to look more like a pumpkin would. And I'm using, you know, probably medium pressure here. Okay, so there's that pumpkin. We're going to do this one over here the same way. Then we'll come back and do the stems in the brown. Okay, so there's that. Again, I'm going back with that aqua painter. Just going over. It just kind of smooths it out a little bit. But when I bring it up, you'll see it keeps the lines from the pencil. So it gives the pumpkin a more natural look, I think. Okay, so there's that one. Let's do this one over here. Okay, I'll bring that up so you guys can see it, hopefully. So if you can see, the pumpkins still have the pumpkin look to them. All right, take the brown. We're gonna go in and do the stems. Again, I'm not going for perfect, I'm just going for color. Okay, so that is done. We're going to set that aside. Let's go back to the one we did earlier. I'm going to take my scissors and cut these out. And I mentioned before, Maymay stamps are really easy to fussy cut. So I'm just going to basically cut the images out first, then cut around those. And before I cut the pumpkins out, I'm going to go in there and do the stems in that brown. Let's grab the brown colored pencil or watercolor. You can certainly use regular colored pencils. You could probably just use a paintbrush dipped in water, because that's pretty much what this is. Alright, so we have those. Let's go ahead and cut these guys out. And I will have all the supplies and sizes listed on Maymay's blog, and I will have that linked below. Yeah, the colors this month for the design team, like I said, they were pink, orange, and brown. Pink and brown, I actually use a lot. I think pink and brown go really well together, but orange kind of like threw a wrench in the mix. I was like, oh, that's not really a color I use. It was definitely a challenge, but I find the more cards I make, the more I'm actually liking the orange, so I might be using orange more. Alright, so there's the two hay barrels. Let's go ahead and do the pumpkin. And if you have a brother scan and cut, you can certainly stamp these and have the machine cut it out. But like I said, these are so easy. It's faster to cut them out versus having the machine do it for me. And I'm doing it right on the line, so there's no white background or shadow. Like I said, pumpkins aren't perfect. Oop, I think I cut the stem with that guy. He has a really skinny stem. I find it easier moving the paper versus moving the scissors, but sometimes the images are so small. Okay, so you can see, not perfect, but that's okay. I'm just going to put all that aside. Now we're going to bring in some foam squares. I get these from Maymay. I'm going to flip these to the larger hay barrel over, put two on the back of that one. The pumpkin, we're going to put one on the back of him. Alright, let's bring our card front over. I'm going to give these guys a squish, take the backings off. And he's going to kind of go down here at the bottom, like that. The other hay barrel, I'm going to glue that one directly down. I'm using art glitter glue. Just put glue on the back of that. And I want to stamp it more over to the one side. Okay, then we have the pumpkin. The small one is going to go on top of that second barrel. Like that, kind of tucked in. Okay, then we have the one that was on the foam square. Again, give it a squish, take the backing off. And that one's going to go down here, kind of tucked in behind there. Okay, so there's the front of the card. Now, let's take our card base and assemble this. So I'm going to put the pink layer down first. And again, this was 4 by 5 1/4. that on there. I'm going to put our front down, and you can see it does bleed through because I wasn't using the watercolor cardstock, but I did that intentionally so it wouldn't give me the perfect colored images. And that's going to go on top of that, leaving hopefully the same border all the way around. So the front of the card is done, isn't that? Oh, no, it's not. We need to stamp the crow. Let me grab the crow. I'm going to go in again with that black ink. I'm going to bring my scrap paper over first, just so I can test it, to make sure I have good coverage. I'm going to bring this toward me, otherwise I won't be able to see them. Okay, so there's the crow on his shoulder. Adorable. All right, let's do the inside. So the inside, really simple. I'm going to grab that larger hay barrel and that same brown ink we've been using, bottom right corner. I'm going to grab the smaller of the 3 pumpkins and the orange ink and stamp it on top of the barrel. Okay, I'm not going to color that in. I'm just going to leave it natural like that. All right, let's take this and flip it over and glue it in there. I got a smudge on there. I think every card I make, I have a smudge. I'm going to grab that mono eraser again. This will be your best friend if you guys are like me and get ink everywhere. Okay, I think there's a larger smudge there. A lot of times I'm not really worried about the smudges on the inside because when you're doodling or writing your greeting in here, you can always kind of doodle over the smudge. All right, there we go. So there's the inside, and then we have the outside. So there's that card here. There's this card here, and then this one I did with the brown crow. So either way, the brown or the black. I like the black a little better. Anyway, guys, there you have it, today's project. Any questions at all, please let me know. As always, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.